good evening. Welcome to Iron Sharpens Iron, where we talk about different things that we are struggling with and challenging within our day-to-day life. And we are joined tonight, this evening, with Jasmine and Tia. Say hello, Jasmine and Tia.
Hello.
Hello. And
hello,
of course,
Jasmine and Tia.
yeah, I'm LaWanda. And so this evening we're going to be talking about, or today we're going to be talking about relationships, not necessarily relationship with other people, but the relationship that we're having with ourselves. You know, oftentimes we hear the relationship we're having with ourselves is the relationship that we're having with others. So we're going to be talking about the relationship we're actually having with ourselves and how the relationship we have with ourselves helps, hinders, and allows to, examine the relationship that we're having with others. So we'll get started with the relationship. When I say the relationship we're having with ourselves, what do you guys think about? Like, what comes to mind when you hear, what is the relationship you're having with yourself?
How are you treating yourself? How are you internally viewing yourself?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say view. How do you view yourself? Like self-esteem? What conversations are you having with yourself? What are you saying to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about yourself?
How you feel about yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think that understanding that helps with the relationship, with the relationship we have with others? Like, because a lot of times we as we get older, we realize that we can't control other people. We can only control how we respond, how we react to situations. So when we're having a relationship with ourselves, and this, like a lot of times, I'm going to say it like this, we have to examine ourselves, but when we examine ourselves, are we being really honest with ourselves? Like, how do you be honest with yourself? It's kind of hard if you're having a relationship with yourself and you're in a relationship with you and you don't have anybody to kind of give you constructive criticism or to help you examine yourself. So how do you really know that the relationship is either good or bad or toxic or, not healthy?
Oh, first of all, that's a really good question. Go ahead.
I think the relationship you're having with yourself, like the topic at hand is reflected in your everyday life. So if you're not having a healthy relationship with yourself, your everyday life will show that this person is not internally healthy or not viewing themselves the way they should, and so they're allowing the things that go on externally to reflect how they feel from the inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, but then how do you know from the inside that you're even unhealthy?
So I think you're gonna be in chaos. Like if you have a healthy relationship with yourself, things are not going to be going smoothly for you. So you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be irritated, you're going to be upset, you're going to be lashing out, you're going to have all this anger, and you're not going to know where it's coming from, and it's because it's coming from you. And it'll also be, you'll go from relationship to relationship with other people, and you'll have the same issues because you have this internal issue with yourself. Or people find themselves trying to move to a new city and they show up and they're still unhappy when they've moved to that new city because it's the issue with you.
I guess that's when you have to say, you have to really, really say, you know how they're saying, they say it's not going to keep being everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It can't, there's no way. It's not everybody else. But so it takes a discipline in order to have a relationship with yourself, because you have to be honest and real. And that's not something that anyone else can necessarily instill in you. You have to wake up and make a decision one day that you want to work on this and figure out what the issue is.
Yeah. And want to make that change.
Yeah. You have to have some stake. You have to have ownership in your own relationship with yourself.
You have to recognize that it's chaos too.
Yeah.
Some people are living in chaos and they're used to it, so they find that chaos to be normal.
Right.
Or they're addicted to it and they
Or
don't
they're
realize
addicted to it.
it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's always dramatic. They
Yeah.
like drama and they don't
Yeah.
realize that they're addicted to the drama because of something going on inside them.
Right.
Yeah, I've had to examine myself with when it comes to that, because sometimes when you are so accustomed to drama being in your life, and drama is different. You know, we identify drama as different things. You know, it's not
Mhm.
always um someone calling, something. I'm just gonna say something is always happening in your life. And
Right.
then when you're at that period when there's nothing happening, or there's no drama,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to realize, wait a minute. You have to ask yourself, am I addicted to, because sometimes I was about to say, sometimes you're addicted to chaos and drama, and you don't really or aware that it is chaos and drama. And then when you don't have it in your life, you're like, wait a minute. And so
What's going on? I'm bored.
right. So you gotta find something to keep that distraction or whatever you
So then you
identify.
go find some more drama and some more chaos to get yourself into. Because I
Right.
recognize that within myself. Because I told you guys both before that one of the things when I realized I needed to go to therapy and I needed to make a change is because my life was in chaos. And it was all the time. And I was in relationships with guys and they were all in the same. And I was like, okay, there's a common denominator here, and it's me.
Yeah.
Got to figure this out.
And I got to make a shift. I need to do something different. And
Yeah.
then too, yeah, that's good, because you have to come to that point where you recognize. But then sometimes you recognize it. Some people will recognize it and then not know how to make the change.
Yeah.
Especially when there are people in their life, or the people around them in their lives.
Our reflection.
Right. So,
or a reflection of that, or don't believe in getting help. Because I've had friends reach out to me, saying, well, I want to get help, like you got help, like you went to therapy and you got counseling. But then like someone that they're in a relationship with might be like, you don't need that. We don't do that, And so even though they feel themselves wanting to go this route, they're being kind of silenced by what it is that they need to do. So that's why I said it takes a discipline, because you have to discipline yourself to overcome that. Even when people are not understanding your shift, you got to keep moving and possibly remove those people from your life. So it's a lot of change kind of at one time that could take place when you're mending the relationship with yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then in that process of mending the relationship with yourself, we have to recognize too that sometimes the relationship with ourselves takes us, or mending the relationship rather, takes us back to how do we get here. And a lot of times it's very difficult and challenging, because I always say, if you've been behaving a certain way for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or whatever, you recognize that this is a behavior that's not healthy for me.
Yeah.
And then you try to change it, and you think that, oh, I'm gonna be able to change this in 30 days. I'm gonna be able to change this in 60 days or whatever.
Yeah. And you think it's gonna feel good. And sometimes you gotta get worse before you feel better. And so you start feeling worse in the beginning because you're detaching from all. It's like kind of like withdrawals. And you're detaching from things, and you're like, this can't be right because I'm in more pain than I was before.
Right.
But really, it's just that that process that you have to go through.
Processes. Okay.
What was that little laugh?
Because I think that this is just one Black woman's opinion. I think that processes are overrated at times.
Ooh. Unpack that one. They make you just like scrunch up your face. Oh.
No, I believe you have to go through a process, and I think that their processes are important, and I think they are part of the growth are part of your growth, and they are definitely important, and they are something that we have to do. I just believe it's kind of sort of like people right now, you know how self-care to me is the thing now, and I think self-care kind of like is a little bit overrated too, because what's self-care to you or what's self-care to either one of you all is not the same as self-care to me. You get what I'm saying? Like I can for
Okay,
example,
unpack your definition of overrated. Like when you say overrated,
when I say processes are overrated, I'm saying I don't think well, let me clarify that, because I don't think that that I think that you should go through the process. That's life.
Right.
Life is full of processes. But when I say overrated, I'm saying how long or what the process should look like, because like now so many different opinions of people want to define what my process should look like versus what somebody else's process should look like when it comes
gotten involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what I mean. I don't mean processes specifically are overrated, because we have to go through processes the way life is designed. But I'm saying how we go through the process is overrated.
Okay.
Or how
I get what you're saying.
We take
the steps.
What people are saying, people are trying to like make blanket statements for processes and saying this is what a process looks like.
Right.
And then people are thinking, well, my process didn't look like that, so I must have did processes wrong. And everybody's process look different, and we can't sit here and say, well, this is the 10 steps to a process. Like, no, it doesn't work like that.
That's what I'm saying is overrated. That's the part that's overrated. The process steps that people have tried to attach to everybody. Everybody's process is different. My steps will be different from anybody else's steps.
That's good.
And how long I stay in a certain stage on my journey and how I process things, because you know it's important to also note that how I process or comprehend things is based on my life experiences. So everybody have different life experiences, and we're exposed to different things. So my process cannot be a step by step, generalized step by step that's catered to everyone.
There's so many factors that go into a process. Go ahead.
Right.
Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just thinking that so everybody's process is individualized.
Yeah.
It's just, and you're right, it's so many pieces to a process. So we could actually be on the same step and it looks totally different.
Exactly.
It looks totally different. And how long we stay on this step. Also, like one of the factors is self-discipline. So like if I'm not disciplining myself to keep going through the process and get through the next level, you keep starting the process over and over and over again. And I could be on to my next process.
Right.
I disciplined myself and I did the work. And I was real with myself, and I got those other factors out of my life that were trying to keep me in the same space. So it's so many things. Like you gotta worry about your circle when you're in a process. You gotta keep your own mind right, discipline your own self. And like if you're not doing all those things, like that's why there's no way you can compare yourself to other people. You gotta have tunnel vision because you don't know what people are doing. We don't know what people are doing.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. I think like we've talked about this too, how social media has created this false illusion of what life really is and should look like and should be, and how it has created a lot of extra stress within people.
Stress and just joy taking.
Yeah.
Like even I will like get on Instagram and just be like folks on vacation and I'm working and I'm like, I don't like this. And I'm thinking I'm doing something wrong. And I'm working to put food on the table and pay the bills. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm sitting here like I should be in Bali. Like, what's going on?
Then you have to remind yourself, not right now.
Not right now. But they're
Not
not in Bali every day. Like whoever is in Bali right now on my timeline, they're not there every day. They have to go back to some sort of working situation and whatever their process is. But we like
And
miss it, and we're only in what we're seeing right then.
And you never know what they had to do to get to Bali.
right.
Or are their bills paid when they get back home?
Right.
Back from Bali, can they eat? We don't
Right.
know.
And just recently, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You just recently, I was gonna share this. Just recently, I've heard a story where someone was traveling a lot, doing things, and then they were they came into it looked like appeared that like they came into a whole bunch of money, but actually they were scamming.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll sit here you're letting somebody steal your joy and envious of a situation when they're a criminal.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then who wants to be married just to be married?
Right.
I mean,
if I
would know nothing about.
if I wanted to be married right now, I could be married right now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, but when I say I've done it, I mean I've done it to the point where I tried to I got stressed about society, not necessarily it was against society as a whole, but it was just in my group, like the
peer pressure.
The peer pressure of
yes.
I remember the 2002 when my closest friend got married, my sister got married, my other friend got married, and then my other friend got married, and I wasn't married. They were getting married. I was pregnant and wasn't married, and I'm like, mm-mm. So you get what I'm saying? So it's like everybody's getting married. It's like around this time, around that age, I was getting older and I wasn't getting married. So I was like, ooh, you get what I'm saying? So, and then they tell people that the male, when he's ready to get married, he'll marry the woman that he's with at that time, instead of doing it because of love or because of commitment or loyalty or dedication and all these great things that you're supposed to do when you find that person.
All of these
not
things
your soulmate,
they stress me out because
not the person you have the connection with, but I'm with her at this time, so we doing life. We might as well do life forever.
That's not it.
Marriage sometimes can be a lot like Instagram. So no, seriously, like you have this wedding, right? The wedding is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Everybody's teary. The music is good. Everybody looking good. Got the haircut, the dress, the shoes, the whole nine. You go to this party. It's lit. You living it up. That's what people see. That's what they think of marriage. That's what they want. They don't know that a week after the honeymoon, the couple fighting like cats and dogs. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Or was situation may be. Before the wedding.
Or you sleeping in the guest room.
Yeah, sleeping in the guest room, was fighting the day before the wedding.
Right.
Like, wanted to call it off, but they paid
money for this. Somebody wants to call the wedding off, and they like serious. Like I know some people, I won't say who they were.
Or the side
but I know some people's like the wedding is off, and I'm like, I done paid all this money. What do you mean?
Right. So they're going.
That's not.
But then they got married.
That's not often. That's not I mean, that's not often, but I've heard of things happening like that. But mainly, the most I've seen is people doing it because of peer pressure and because it's the thing to do. I think I've reached this point.
They want the fun thing that everybody sees.
It's a trend. Marriage is a trend. People are doing this stuff, just like these gender reveals and all this other stuff. Like it's trendy.
That's right. And the engagement photos and
the engagement. How's he gonna propose? Like people have made it so showy that they've missed it. Like it's to the point where now, like I don't even want like this big huge wedding because the whole thing has been missed. Right. So for y'all to talk about how my shrimp and grits was cold, it's okay. Like we don't even gotta do it. You know what I'm saying?
You're paying for a party for everybody else.
You are. And not to knock people that still want a traditional wedding, but for me, it's just like society is getting too much into it. And it's like at this certain age, because I was even told, like I had graduated from college. I was out of college for like a year. And my granddad was like, you need to be getting married soon.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I was like,
I've heard that.
and then I started like trying to round up men. Like, okay, it's
You
time.
listen to him.
I did. I absolutely did. Like, cause this is the father figure in my life. Granted, he said this is what I need to be doing. I'm 24 years old. Time is a ticking. So I need to go out, and somebody's son needs to see me.
I used to tell my granddaddy, "You already taken. I can't marry you."
I took the bait. I listened. I was like, I needs to get
I remember my granddaddy telling me, my papa, because I never took anybody around my family that, if I wasn't really, really serious. And so he had never met anybody at that point in my life. And he said, "You know, one of them gays, is you?" I was like, "Pa, why you say that?" He was like, "I ain't never seen you with no man."
Yeah.
That
ain't good.
that
So
part.
then you start thinking,
So then you got to go get you a boyfriend after that.
like I'm enjoying life. At that time I'm like, I'm
And enjoy life.
girl, and I'm trying to, he was like, "Yeah, but you still need a man."
So it's like that mentality that was like sewn into our heads, and it's just like, so then people get in these insecure, toxic relationships. They haven't become one with themselves. And another thing Devon Franklin said was that we don't accept ourselves, so we don't accept others. And so we don't know that we're not accepting ourselves. We don't really see that, but then we get into a relationship and then we start trying to change people. And we start trying to change them into like this idea of what we want them to be.
Exactly. That part.
That part.
Trying to, we want them to fill the void
that we feel because we don't accept our own self.
Right.
So like, I don't accept you. So now you need to be doing this. And them cross the street, they do that. Why you don't do that?
And that's why we hear a lot from our men that no matter what I do, it's never enough.
Yes, they feel that way. And men do that all the time to women. I hate it too.
Well, they rate you.
Yeah.
Just
10. And they really believe that like they have a true, and I guess I'm blanket statementing them even when I'm saying this, but I do feel like they have this true belief that like all women are the same. Like we're so not. And I guess men are not the same. All men are so not the same.
Right.
Like everyone is different based off their life experiences.
Right. Exactly. And we have to realize that. And then we have to have conversations too. I think we should start having conversations as young as 9 and 10 about what it looks like to be in a relationship with a male, not on a marriage level, but I'm talking about on a communications level.
I think what it looks like to be in a relationship in general. Like a relationship with the male, but then also like friendships. Because we just get up and just start doing stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm 10, I got a best friend. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. What is a best?
We don't even know what this stuff means. It's all buzzwords.
Right.
So at 9 or 10, though, their kids, can they even comprehend?
Yes. I'll tell you, from being a teacher, absolutely. They are so smart.
Because they know how at that age they understand what being kind is. They understand what sharing is. They understand what selfless is, being selfish. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they definitely comprehend.
They're learning virtues, and so I think that's the best time to instill in them the tenderness of what it is to be dealing with someone and their feelings and their emotions. Because at that point, they're gonna really care. They care. I don't want to upset this person. I don't want to hurt people. They care about that.
So that would be key to teaching them that they have emotions, and that even because I stress this all the time with young ones, that they have emotions. Learn how to identify the emotions.
That's good.
How to cope with the emotions, and that none of the emotions are bad. Like sad and mad is not a bad emotion. It's just that we have to learn how to express it in a healthy manner. because if it was bad, then God wouldn't have gave it to us.
Ooh, that's good for adults.
That part.
People don't know that. People don't know that being sad and mad is okay. Like, and that's not a bad thing. You just have to control yourself in it.
Right.
Not live in it forever.
And not act a fool.
Yeah.
I'll go say that.
Yeah. Learn how to control what you can control, and the uncontrollables, you leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. So what else Devon say?
Let me see. So another thing that he said that I really liked was that vulnerability equals victory. Because I feel like a lot of times people don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to live in the full realness of what their life is and that authenticity of who they are, because they think that it's a losing game. That if I'm vulnerable and if people know these things about me, then they have this ammo to defeat me. But when really, if you're able to stand in it, in your vulnerability and who you are, it's a winning, because you've bared it all. You've said, this is who I am. This is what I'm like. Maybe I do have this insecurity, and that's okay. Maybe this does upset me, and that's okay. And so that's like you're not enabling the weapon to prosper when you're vulnerable.
That's good.
Yeah.
I wonder though, because how do you get to a point where you understand what's vulnerable versus what, because sometimes people say, well, I don't want to be that open. Like, how do you, and I've learned this, but I'm just asking the question because I'm trying to think, when did I learn this? And y'all can maybe share when y'all learn this. How do you determine or understand what's vulnerable versus how much vulnerability how vulnerable do I be versus how boundary, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
so what's the difference between being vulnerable and telling all my business?
Right.
Right. Okay. So I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jasmine.
So I think that I can be vulnerable and not give someone every single detail at the same time. Like, I can be vulnerable and standing in the fact that I'm a single mother. This is a fact here. And I'm able to say, this is that. Now, do I have to tell every single detail about everything I went to and the road that got me there and what all went on between us? No. But I am able to be vulnerable enough to say, yeah, when I was 25, I had my baby and we were engaged. It broke off the engagement, and then I was a single mom. All happened in the same year. And I think that's vulnerable enough.
I agree. I was gonna say the same thing. It's the perspective you tell. You don't tell the detail, you just tell the perspective. So this is the lesson.
So you're still living in your truth. There's no lie there, and you're not hiding anything. It's really just about being able to be your full self. Because too often people, being honest about who you really are. And that doesn't mean that we need a whole detailed book about everything, but just be able to be honest about who you are and where you grew up and where you've been and what's going on with you,
And I think you get to a point, I know for me, how I was able to get to that point was when I when I learned to understand that people's opinions of me don't validate my worth.
Yeah. Another thing he said was, their reaction to your truth is not your responsibility.
That's big. That's huge. Big. The opinion of you at all is not your business.
It's not.
That's so huge. Like, and that when he said that, I realized, like, that's another key to abundance. That's another key to joy, consistent joy. Because I talked about this on one of my Monday messages this past Monday. Like, people are taking on things that are not their responsibility, and they're overwhelmed and they're upset and they're depressed and it's daunting. Yeah, because that wasn't yours to deal with anyway. So how
Right.
somebody feels about me standing in my truth, if they feel like, ooh, whatever, I don't even know what they could say, doesn't even matter.
Mhm.
Not even my responsibility. And another thing I also said was 9 times out of 10, if someone is upset about you living in your truth, it's because they're not in a position to be that honest.
That part.
And
Yeah.
so the best way to combat that type of opposition is to continue to lead by example.
That's it.
To keep living in your truth, keep being vulnerable because it's free. I'm free. I feel great. I'm me on Instagram. I'm me on this podcast, and I'm be me when I go get in that bed.
That is that's so powerful. That's powerful freedom when you can be. And I said this not too long ago. I said I'm intentional about what I post on social media is how I live in my everyday life.
Right.
Because what happens when people are living a false reality and when they're exposed, when this false reality is exposed.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a tough fall to take.
Right. Very tough fall.
That's a tough tumble.
That's the whole thing. Like, because then they're vulnerable and their truth is that they're a liar.
Right.
Right.
And that's hard for them to sit in because that's their insecurity.
Right.
I'm not gonna self-sabotage and create another insecurity in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. But people will be offended by you showing up with your imperfections as if there's nothing wrong with it. Because there's nothing wrong with it. But people get offended. You see it so many times when people will post things with them with no makeup on and folks are like, "Ooh, she look crazy. Why she post that picture?"
Mm-hmm.
See, that's one of those things. Go ahead.
I'm just saying it's offensive to us that they would post their imperfection. Why? Because we couldn't do it?
Because they don't feel that same comfort for themselves. They don't feel comfortable being themselves. And then it exposes what they really feel about themselves.
Right. So, and again, none of that is that person, that picture is not their responsibility to deal with that person's insecurity. They need to go to counseling. They need to get a therapist. They need to unpack.
They need to do the work.
Or just scroll along. If you don't like me because I ain't put on no makeup, just keep scrolling.
Age-old lesson. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
This is my page. I can put whatever I want on my page.
But for some reason, people feel like they have stake in it. People feel like they have stake in your posts.
Why?
Because they're living vicariously through you.
But they can't even see that that's what it is. They can't even see that they actually love you.
They're a fan because you're following me.
They don't even realize they're actually obsessed.
Oh wow, people have too much time.
They have too much. I mean, it takes Cardi B to say it. Like she got these awards. She was like, "Thank you for all y'all that was talking about me and being mean to me because like my name was still like you were talking about me still, you know, like I was still on your mind." Right. And that's a thing.
And so somebody gave people the authority to think that, to make them feel that it was okay for them to criticize other people instead of taking that mirror and turning it on themselves and saying to themselves, I need to fix this. Oh, I need to work on this. I need to change this by myself. Oh no, I'm just gonna put it back on this other person and I'm gonna criticize them and tell them what they need to do.
Yeah, nobody gave them that authority. They took it.
And it's going right back to we don't accept others because we don't accept ourselves.
That part.
Yep.
So other people are just going about being humans and we are objecting to it as if it's blasphemy and we can't believe that they would do such things. But it's only because we wouldn't accept ourselves in that manner.
That's exactly what it is. And then this is like this search for sameness. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't raise my child like that. Whatever the thing is.
Normalize differences, normalize multi-dimension normalize the fact that we don't all have to do the same thing at the same time, people. It's okay.
Right.
It's
And you don't have to feel like you're wrong and I'm right because I did something different. You don't have to feel that way. Don't make yourself feel like that.
It's an insecurity when people act that way because they don't have enough confidence to live their life to their own rules. They've just been extreme rule followers, and people have always told them what to do. So when they see someone making it up as they go along, they're offended.
Wow.
Because they didn't have that courage.
That's good.
Wow.
Oh, that's good. That's interesting too.
It
that
is.
We're in 2023.
Yeah.
With all of the technology, with all of the information out there, you know what I'm saying? That's like broad now. It's so much. And we're still having simple-minded people.
Simple-minded, yeah.
With closed lives. I'm gonna say with closed minds. It is, I mean, I'm laughing at it, but it's not really not funny. Because it's kind of disappointing. It's very disappointing, you know, like we have this broad way of communicating with people across this world, and we still are not able to understand that we all are different, but it's something.
And we're using it to be mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of accepting.
Yeah, it's like you would think that like the human race would have evolved from that.
Right.
At some point.
Probably gotten worse.
Well, you know, truth be told, history repeats itself.
Yeah.
And I was this, I don't know, I probably should share it with you all, but sometimes I have, when I'm reading, like if I'm reading the Bible and I have a challenge to really understand what the Bible is telling me, I'll go get, I have this website that I go to, not necessarily, it's YouTube page, and they give illustrations of the actual story. They draw it out, talk about it. It's really good. It's really good.
Now, friend.
Yeah, I need to send that to you.
I need that.
And it's great because it's a nonprofit company. He does it. They do it, and to help us understand.
That's good.
So I was looking at the one not too long ago about the people of Israel, about how God led those people out and how they were still complaining, wanting to go back to what was familiar. But it was slavery. Why would you want to go back to that? You know,
it was comfortable.
Because it was comfortable.
Ooh.
And it was just so real to me because the whole story he dropped when they, you know, of course it's in the Bible, but when I was looking at it in visual and how their mindsets were so limited because they could not see, even though that everything that had happened was so positive and was blessing to them and it had enhanced their lives, because of what they thought, they could not overcome that old mindset, and it cost them the promised land. And it took me back to people perish because of the lack of knowledge.
Oh gosh, that is such an important story to tell, because that's the process. They were in a process and they didn't do the work to change their mindset. They were still complaining and they were still saying in that old way, and it cost them destiny. And because people think that they're entitled to destiny and that you're going to get there no matter what. And if you do not do what you have to do, you will not reach destiny. Oh, you gotta do.
Yeah, that was just, and it was so real to me because that's why I say history repeat itself.
Yeah,
because that happens so many.
I want to say that. I want to add that to it. History repeats itself if you let it.
Right.
Because I feel like we only say that, and that's what's stuck in the atmosphere. So history repeats itself if you let it.
Right. And I think that's why we have those stories, those guidelines. I look at them as guide maps, like God.
Yes,
life maps guides or whatever you want to call them.
The what you call the
guides
thing
to
at the
life.
bottom of the map? The thing that you
The key?
yeah, that.
Yeah, because it's
the key.
Right. Because if you can learn, I've always said this. I can learn from somebody else's mistakes.
But can't you know what? I used to think that too, but can you really?
Yes. Let me tell you why.
Absolutely, I think so.
Let me tell you why I say that. This is what's my
I learned from the Israelites' mistake. I ain't gonna be.
That's true.
You can learn from people's mistakes. You watch their lives and be like, okay,
I'm getting to the promised land. I ain't gonna be stuck in comfortability.
Right. You could because I was looking at it and I was like, oh, that ain't gonna be me. Because I felt like God was telling me, don't do that. Don't do that. I've showed up in every aspect of your life. And I promised you certain things. And I didn't tell you when, but I've always came through. And you got to believe me when I say I'm gonna do something.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think we better learn from other people's mistakes. Like you can and you should and you better.
So
why?
Here's what I mean by that, because that situation, I can learn exactly what not to do by watching you do it. But if I'm in a process, can I go through my process watching you go through yours? You know what I mean? Because it was two different processes.
That's different.
I know, yeah, because that's two different things. That ain't learning from people's mistakes.
Yeah, I don't mean
trying to process from folks' processes. And no, you can't do that.
Yeah. That's a
but I think you can more efficiently move through your process by learning from someone that has already been through
that process.
Similar process.
Right.
It's not the exact same. But I mean, even with us like building our business, we're learning from our mentor who has been through a similar, not the same because it's 2023 and her process was 10 years ago, but it's a similar process. So we're taking our life experiences and we're taking what she learned in her process, and we're mixing all that up. And now we've got the solution in our process.
See, that's what I was talking about. That's exactly what I'm saying. We can't, because of time difference and everything else, it's not the same thing.
It's not the same. No, it's not.
We have to go through our thing.
No, we're gonna have to like hit it a little bit and make it fit into our lot. And then
we gotta tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can definitely learn.
It helps with the efficiency. And so that's where it's like learning. When I learned from someone else's mistake, that didn't mean that I necessarily wouldn't make the same mistake. And it didn't mean that I would get through whatever I got going on and it just be seamless. It just meant I have more knowledge. I learned something.
Right.
So when this comes, I can navigate this a little bit differently. So instead of like hopping in the river that's going to take me this way and off my course, like, oh, I'm going to go over this bridge. Okay.
Right. Or at least I know that river goes that way and I probably need to go in the opposite direction.
Right.
I'm listening good.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you can learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, you absolutely can. But it doesn't.
I'm strongly on that.
I wish
I had some more people in front of me that made those.
Where were you guys?
You know what I'm saying?
Where were you?
Okay.
Like go through this
moment over here. You had.
I'm having a moment because I'm an observer.
The one that is like hoping. She's like, please God, like you can learn from people's mistakes now.
Like, I need some more, Lord, through my journey. I need to watch some more. You know what I'm saying? I need to see some more of them. Yeah, I need,
her joy. We learned
the ones I had to learn on my own. Woo. I mean, there are some that I feel like I needed to learn on my own, but there are some that I could avoid it. I could have just watched them.
I get it. No, I absolutely get that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, LaWanda. Don't do that. But yeah,
that
part, you know what I'm saying? That part. Yeah.
You were so funny, but
she was triggered.
I was like, I was triggered. I was like, what you mean you don't learn from nobody? Like, oh yes, you can. I needed some more of them.
I was just saying, I wasn't meaning that. Oh my God, I wasn't saying that if somebody jump off the bridge, you need to jump off. That ain't what I was saying.
I understand. We
to you. We was both hurt by that. We said, now wait a minute. Now you can learn.
Wait 1 minute.
Hey, I'm the master of look at me, and I'm the master of learning from other people's mistakes.
That's one of the reasons.
I'm just saying, you know, do you understand the process the same if you
don't? You gotta
if you avoid it. Like if you go around that right there, if I went around that section in life, do I understand the process the same? That's all I'm saying.
Because I have this exercise that talks about the whole, like, you know, what it simplifies and breaks it down so it's in chapters, and at the end it asks you, because you done went down that hole 2 or 3 times. It's like, now when you gonna get to the point when you gonna go around it? No, you just not just go around.
That's learning from your own mistake.
Right. But I take that and I look at other folks.
So you done went down that hole, I'm going around.
I'm going around.
No, for real. Like if you see somebody keep on not getting the help that they need, or keep on staying in a toxic situation, and you're literally seeing them decline, you're gonna learn from that. And you're gonna
no.
That's one of the main reasons why I never did drugs. Because I watched people as a young girl, life drastically change when they got hooked on drugs. I was like, I ain't trying it. I remember going to parties and drugs would be like laid out like we do water. You know, like we go to parties now and water and alcohol is free. Food. I remember going to parties where it was in that type of, you know, same availability, and I'd be like, I ain't doing that, because I, you know what I'm saying, that I learned from other people's mistakes on that. That's one example, you know, because I was like, I'm not doing that. That's so good. You can learn from other people's mistakes. That's why I said
we're clear. If you don't learn nothing else from this podcast today, is that you can learn
from other people's mistakes.
It's something I want to say, but I'm just gonna keep it to myself.
Yeah, because I got some thoughts and I can't say them. I always get to this point. Every podcast I get to this point. Like I can't say that on camera.
Why not?
But one thing I am gonna say, I just wish that I had a couple more examples of people mistakes.
A
couple more. Oh, she know exactly what they are too.
Yes. Most definitely.
But it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on from that.
I love it.
I think that's a very good point. So to make about how we grow and change and understand that we have to go through the process. And some mistakes are definitely avoided because we are, you know, I always say all the time that we're purpose, our life here on earth is purpose meaningful. And in order for us to fulfill the purpose, some things we just can't avoid.
Yeah.
But we can learn that, you know, from scripture based, that our mindsets are definitely something that we have to change. We can't continue in the same behavior. And everything that we've learned from you know, from our environments is not always a good thing for us. And you know what I'm saying? Understanding that.
Yeah. Stuff you take from your environment. That's that chaos that you think is normal.
Right? Yes, my disclaimer used to be, I'm a product of my environment.
And then did you feel like that was okay?
Yeah. I was like, oh, y'all gotta accept me. I can act any type of fool I want to because I'm a product of my environment.
Wow.
And that's what I thought. I thought it was fine. And I had convinced myself I can continue going on acting like this. I can continue with this anger. If somebody tried me, I can act a fool at any given moment because everything I've been through, I deserve to be able to act this way. So,
wow.
I used to tell people I was dating that, like, this is just me.
And you have to accept me.
And if you don't, then
you change to adapt to me.
And if you don't, then that's cool. And that's what it was like. I was like, it's fine. I get it. If you don't want to accept, but this just me. Oh yeah. Oh, I was. Oh Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
You was in your 20s, wasn't you?
Thanks the Lord for growth and change and understanding and lessons.
But that's good though. But that's even in that though, that's still, I think that still was a good thing that you still was able to express how you felt. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What you thought. Even in that, even though it was
Mm.
toxic,
Yeah.
you were still
Well,
able to
I
express
knew,
it.
I think at least I knew my behavior was raggedy. I just,
Okay.
I wasn't going to change it because I felt like I was entitled to act that way because of, like I said, because of what I've been through. I felt like, well, when people go through things, then they're going to be angry and they deserve to be able to be angry and feel what they feel. That was basically my philosophy. It's like
Okay.
my life was hard. My life growing up was hard. My dad wasn't there for me. I deserve to be mad. So I'm be mad.
I'm gonna be mad.
I'm gonna be mad.
So what made you see it another way? What made you see that, okay, I have this behavior and I might feel like I'm justified in this behavior, but I know I need to change this behavior?
Because it was not sustainable for me to have relationships with other people. So then I realized it was something wrong with the relationship with myself because I could not sustain relationships with other people. And me going on acting that way was, and I have the spirit of wanting to help. And I really am like really helpful and loving, but I had this other spirit of anger and just, but then I realized like I was hurting people acting this way. And so I was like, this can't go on because in my real heart of hearts, that's not who I am and who I want to be. So there's something that has to, there, I can fix this. I can let go of this anger. I can let go of this pain. I can be better. I can be made new so that I don't go, I want to walk around as a light. I don't want to walk around pulling people into my darkness. But it was something that I had to want.
That's that thing I always talk about. Be honest, be authentic, be brutally honest.
Right.
And if it's nasty, we'll clean it up. But
Yeah.
be honest. Because you can't clean up what you're hiding.
What you're hiding, right, right.
And you have to have a come to Jesus with yourself. And you first, before you're vulnerable with the world, I wouldn't suggest that you just walk out and just bear everything with the world. Be vulnerable with your own self. Be able to be raw, but everybody can't keep it a band with themselves. Everybody can't look at themselves in the mirror and say, I'm the problem, that this is not okay. That everybody keep leaving me, but I guess it's just something wrong with them. Like everybody can't say, I ran them away.
Right.
Because my behavior was ridiculous.
And I think that a lot of times the reason why people run into their their roadblock of not being completely honest is because less people actually are honest about that stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah.
And when I say that, we can talk about celebrities all the time. They post stuff and they say things, but they're the above average. We need average people, everyday people that we come in contact with every day, that we see and we engage with every day, to be able to be that open and honest. And that's not happening.
Well, I think people settle in a lot of areas in their life. And so people are okay with just getting by. People are okay with just surviving and
Well,
not
they're
living.
not okay, but yeah, it appears that they're okay.
They're content. Let me say content, if that's a better word. People are content with survival and just getting by with the bare minimum rather than actually doing work that we said before may get more painful before it gets better. Because in order for me to get to this point, I had to rehash all of that pain that I was so angry about. And I had to get mad and angry about it all over again. And then get to the bottom root of like why I was really mad and angry about it, then mend it.
Right.
Like when you're sewing up a wound in stitches, that hurts. When we see those war movies and somebody's has a big wound on their arm, when they pour alcohol in it, that hurts. But you got to clean it up.
Right.
So during my cleaning, it hurt. And everybody would rather keep doing, putting gauze and Neosporin rather than
take that bandage off and really heal.
Put the alcohol on.
They just want to
pour that alcohol in that wound.
Don't burn.
It's gonna burn. You're gonna cry. It's gonna hurt, but then it's gonna heal properly. It ain't gonna be infected. It's gonna, all the things are gonna happen.
Right.
It takes
That
a
kills bad
real-
bacteria.
Right. That keeps growing. Because if you, I don't care how many times you put that bandage over it, if it does not heal properly, it's gonna keep coming back.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Then you're gonna have a problem. Then if it gets
It's gonna
infected,
spread. It's gonna spread.
and it starts spreading.
And then it's gonna get infected. And the next thing we know, we gotta cut it off.
You gotta cut it off, or you touch somebody else and you infect them.
You infected them.
Yeah, no. I don't want it, and I don't want to give it away.
No.
So yeah, that's real. That's real.
That's good. And when you're healing, it itches.
Oh yeah.
After you cleaned out a wound and you're healing, it itches.
It does itch.
It itch, and you can't scratch.
And you can't scratch. I don't care how much you scratch it, still it's gonna itch. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't
if you scratch it, then you gonna open it back up. You gotta leave it alone.
Right. That's why you can't scratch.
We found this analogy, y'all. You gotta leave it.
That's why they always talk about you just throwing salt into my wound.
Yeah, you just gotta leave it there. I don't know about that. Well, no.
I'm gonna leave y'all with one more thing. It don't go away. You have the scar there, and then that's when you're able to be vulnerable. That's when you're able to say, "This is my scar.
I got this, cuz."
Yes.
This is what I went through, but I did this work to heal, and you can too.
Yeah.
Definitely you can. And this is what it looks like after you heal.
Right. That part.
As they say, if unbothered was a word, it is. The peace that passes all understanding.
That part.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us as we continue to sharpen iron. Good night.
Bye.